update. This morning, our commander-in-chief tweeted another shot at the NFL, responding to a tweet regarding Giants Olivier Vernon kneeling during the national anthem last night in Washington. Trump posted, "Can you believe that the disrespect for our country, our flag, our anthem continues without penalty to the players? The commissioner has lost control of the hemorrhaging league. Players are the boss." Will Cain's still here with us, but Max, I want to start with you. What should the NFL owners do about our president?
They should ignore him. We don't ignore him because he's the president and he's tweeting about sports, and our job is to cover it. And so the question does become at a certain point, when does the press use editorial discretion in terms of not allowing ourselves to be manipulated? You know, like what has happened new really in these protests, or so to speak, that the president is tweeting about it? Well, like in the real world, looks like Flynn might flip, right? Well, that's actually something that seems like someone would want to distract from that. In the sports world, the only thing that really happened, I suppose, that would lead to this was Olivier Vernon kneeling. Vacchiano has this on SNY .tv, but Olivier Vernon kneels in silent protest during the Thanksgiving game because his father, his father's a retired police officer, by the way, but he said it's because Trump called the players SOBs and said anyone who does that should be fired. I mean, I can't even say what Trump said at the time. Called him, but like I understand why a player would be offended by that and say, no, something's wrong here, and this is how I'm going to behave. Is that, with everything that's going on, that Olivier Vernon kneeling is what leads to the president of the United States tweeting about it again? Do people believe that that's really what's happening, that he wants to do, or maybe he has another agenda, wants to distract from other things or whatever it is? So for the press, it's actually good for the sports media even to be talking about this because it's content that he's giving us to talk about. But it's bad for the NFL owners' business for this to be going on. And they have the option of ignoring him, and the press has less of that option. So I would suggest the owners ignore him.
Go ahead, Will.
Well, I think to a large extent, at least on what the NFL owners should do, I agree with Max. You have to ignore it. Look, we had a conversation, God, I believe it was like last week or the week before, the three of us, where we were talking about Jerry Jones and his fight with Roger Goodell. Max and I turned to you and I said there's a difference between being right and doing right. And I believe that you can be right, but that doesn't mean what you're saying or doing is right. I mean, I think the best example of that is when, maybe one of your kids says something that's clearly false. You don't house him. You don't go, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, even though you're right. We've had this debate. You guys know I agree with much of what the president has to say in the terms of I think it's disrespectful to kneel for the American flag. I think that Commissioner Roger Goodell is not seemingly in charge of the National Football League. It does look like the players are capable of dictating the terms of what they want to do, and some may think that's fine, that labor should be able to. But for others, it's like that's the point of leadership. Roger Goodell should be handling it. So a lot of what the president has to say, he's right, but he's not doing right, right? The president doesn't need to be tweeting, I don't know how many times we're up to now, about the National Football League. He doesn't need to be doing it, even though he's right. It's not the top of his priority list, but we know why he's doing it, because it plays well for attention. So should the owners play into that? I think the answer is no. And the best example I'm going to give you is this. We all know LeVar Ball and Donald Trump have been in a war of words, I think going on for now a week and a half, something like that. There was a report out just the other day that the Big Baller brand has received $13 million in free advertising and marketing based upon LeVar Ball's squabble with the President of the United States. These are two individuals whose attention is self-serving. Attention-seeking is self-serving. The NFL owners cannot win a public fight with Donald Trump. You will not win. It will do nothing but hurt you. So I agree, Max, in the end, they have to ignore him.
I disagree with the both of you. I don't believe they should ignore him at all. A matter of fact, I think they should go just the opposite. And dare I say, I'm going to use this phrase, I think they should dime him out. We all know that in American society, if not everywhere in the world, billionaires live in a different world. They live in a different bubble than the rest of us. They know things about one another that the rest of us may not know. They do business with one another in a fashion that we may not be privy to. If you're the National Football League, your bottom line is being affected by this whole protest with the national anthem. It was a civil rights protest. It is not a protest against the national anthem. Trump has made it into that. Shad Khan, the owner for the Jacksonville Jaguars, is on the record highlighting how he believes this is a personal vendetta that the president is exercising against the NFL, specifically various owners who were reluctant to let President Trump, at the time Donald Trump, into their personal little bubble in terms of owning an NFL team with the Buffalo Bills in 2014. We don't even have to go back to the 80s and when he owned a USFL team and sued the NFL hoping that he would gain a bunch of money or they would settle and let him be one of the owners in the league, where he ended up winning just $3. We don't have to go there. We can go right to 2014. And the fact that President Trump is known for exacting retribution when he feels he has been wronged. That is what this is about. I have spoken to numerous owners, executives, and others connected to these people who have all confirmed this. So when you take that into consideration, perhaps those billionaires who are on his level in terms of being a billionaire can stand front and center and be like, look, this is what happened. Here's how it went down. This is what his agenda is. No, it's not going to change things with his base, but his base isn't all that he'll need to be realected. His base isn't all that he'll need to make sure the appropriate message is disseminated. If you're owners, well, yes. Well, that's what retribution is, or that's what retaliation is, rather. I'm saying it's necessary because unlike the rest of us, they have the ammunition with inside information that can be highlighted to show his pettiness and his willingness to personalize things and try to make it an American issue.
Stephen A., well, that won't work.
It's a Trump issue.
You're right, but that's not going to work with his base because they're divorced from.
I didn't say it would.
Reality,
I said everyone else other than his base. I said other than his base.
I get that, but understand when he sends this message, what he's saying, Will, when you say it plays well along racial lines. It's a racially divisive issue. And when he says, when you say it plays well, if you look at the numbers, the polling, we've done polling at ESPN, it plays well to white people, especially.
But Max, hold on. Okay. First of all, this is where I always think you go one bridge too far, Max. You know, when you talk about his entire base being divorced from fact, and you talk about this anthem issue just being essentially a proxy for race, you've gone too far. It's you know, you can have sentiments and feelings about kneeling before the American flag, and it have nothing to do with the color of your skin. It's simply true,
yes,
Max.
But I'm not claiming that. But wait a minute. I'm not claiming that. Will, don't say I'm claiming that because I'm not claiming that.
Okay.
I'm not claiming that. I'm talking about the way it plays as a percentage of the population. We know, of course, there are people across both sides, including the racial divide, that feel the opposite of what the majority feel. However, the polls show, the numbers show what they show.
Well, I will agree this. What Donald Trump is doing is playing to a very political issue. He knows this is a political winner for him. Race or no race correlation, it's a political winner. Simple question. I know we have to go to you, Stephen A. We have to go. But simple question, Stephen A. Seriously, has Donald Trump lost any public feuds? Has he taken any L's on public fights? I'm just thinking, if the NFL owners fight back, is there any history of actually winning one of those against Donald Trump?
Well, wait a minute. There's plenty of people that win arguments all the time. That don't mean you concede defeat, ultimately thinking that they're going to win, and therefore you don't make an argument. These guys are empowered with information where they can come right back at him and influence a segment of the populace against him, just like he does against them. Perhaps they should try.
Yeah, it also doesn't mean you garner respect.
I don't know the example of that.
Also, guys, in case you're wondering,
when I say the base, I'm talking about when the favorability polls hit a certain level, when they get below 40%, 38% and such, there becomes a hardened base of people who don't care about evidence, who support their guy. That is true, by the way, of any politician, but particularly of this one.
All right, and just so you want to know, Trump also tweeted his plans for later today. After Turkey, he's going to head over to Trump National Golf Club, and he's going to play a little golf with Tiger Woods and Dustin Johnson. Will, good to see you as always.
Thank you. See you guys next week.
When we come back,
right.
our friend Tim Tebow is back. We'll find out if he ate anything bad. Did he cheat on the diet? We need to know. And we'll get his prediction for the Iron Bowl. Will we see another incredible play like this?